how we can and have to change our relationship to the person we lost to help us within our grief. I'm sitting waiting for my car to be repaired, and so I'm just doing this video from here. When my son passed away in 2011, and likely for you, the person that you lost just sticks in your heart. The pain of your loss sticks in your throat, in your chest, everywhere. I couldn't imagine my life without him. I mean, I had other family to take care of, but all the focus was on the loss and the event around his loss. And I, likely, like many of you, was stuck in the relationship that all that was lost and could never be again. And for me, that was just all consuming. I was in that loop for about 2 years, and it wasn't until about 5 years that I came out of that loop. What broke that loop was that I realized I had to form a different relationship with my son. Now, what does that mean? How does one do that? Well, think about a person that you love, or someone that you don't, or your dog. You have formed a relationship. There's nothing physical that makes up that relationship. It's a spiritual thing between you and the person that you have formed, or that has struck you, or that person has resonated with you in your heart. So I had to come to think about, or what I came to was, how can I relate differently to him without him being here, versus staying in the he's. And I began to have some feelings that my son was a Jeeper. So when I saw a black Jeep, I used to wave, "Hey Nick, how you doing?" Or when I see something else that he might be, drawn to, I would associate that with him in a good way. And at first that seemed really strange, like, oh, well, you see a black Jeep, well, maybe that's a sign, right? Well, I would just do this over and over, and it kind of warmed me back to the good memories and the good pieces of, well, the person that was him. Because there was so much more to him than the events around his passing or that he was gone, right? I was blessed to know him and to be his dad for the 21 years we had him. So instead of dwelling on his not being there anymore, which, I mean, to this day, it still breaks my heart, and I'd give anything to have him back. Yesterday, I was just talking with my wife about, we were watching Apex, the movie, and with Charlize Theron, and she climbs rocks, and Nick would have climbed rocks, and how it could have been that he would have been here in Kentucky climbing rocks, or in California climbing rocks, or we would have been doing that kind of thing together. So that moment was sad for me, but I do remember that he loved rock climbing, and how that juiced him, and how he really brought his best there. Or he loved airplanes, like big air shows, like with the Thunderbirds or the Blue Angels or whatever, not the Flying Angels, the Blue Angels. And so I'd go to the air show to see him, or to a car show, and, oh, Nick would really like this would be awesome. And I know it sounds strange, but as I did that, I began to have a different sense of my relationship with him. That maybe it was spiritual, not in a religious sense, but more spiritual in nature, where I would connect with him, and I would lighten my load of my grief, and I would begin to celebrate him, and the life that was his. And in that, I also had to form a new relationship with myself. Like, when I was in fear of losing my arm years ago from a very bad infection, I had to form a new relationship with how I used the rest of my body. I started to do everything with my one arm. Or another better example is this. I had shoulder surgery about a year ago, and I was in a sling, couldn't use my dominant arm. And I began to understand and be grateful for what the other arm did, for the function that I did have in my other arms. And I could go ahead and relearn things. As human beings, we're very adaptable. So I had to learn how to open the microwave and get my coffee out and not spill it. Not spill it on myself or on the countertop. And it took me a few days, but I did that. And so when we make these new associations with the person that we lost, it takes some time. But eventually we get to the place where our grief is lighter. And this only happens with intentional work inside you. It doesn't just happen that one day you're going to feel better about the whole thing, because time is not your friend when you're grieving. Grief weighs you down. It has the power of relationship and emotion, and therefore it just stays with us because was our association with that person. And for years now, I go to the gravesite and I put flowers in and I cry and it's sad, and I realize that my son is there. But most of the rest of the time, I have switched to celebrating him in my heart, who he was, that I was so blessed to be his dad and to be able to love on him and him teach me things for the 21 years that he was here. I hope this has been helpful for you, because changing that relationship will really make a big difference for you. And I came through all that, through counseling and getting help with other people or from other people and doing my own inner work. And that's what grief takes. So I hope you can take something away from this for yourself. And while you're waiting, for things to percolate for yourself, I encourage you to first survive, then to strive, and eventually maybe even thrive. Make sure you subscribe and follow this this channel, because it's the only way that I get to help other people. And it's not about me, it's about helping other people in service to them and helping them not go through the living hell that I went through while I was grieving. So I really appreciate you doing that.